Hebei Qingda Public Security Bureau has become popular recently, and the limelight has overshadowed the Asian Games. Everyone knows that the 19th Asian Games is being held in Hangzhou at the moment. China invested hundreds of billions for this Asian Games. Many beautiful venues have been built. The opening ceremony was magnificent. Today, thousands of athletes compete every day to win gold and silver medals for China. I looked at the medal list. On the first day, China won more than a dozen gold medals, and other countries didn't get a share. The final result must be the total number of gold medals won by all Asian countries. Not as many countries as China. That's cool. Then think about the country spending hundreds of billions. What is the purpose of holding an Asian Games? The purpose must be to let the people share the strong pride of the motherland. Increase the people's cohesion and centripetal force towards the party and government. Think about it. So much money was spent on the Asian Games. Everything was messed up by Qingda Police, this small public security agency. Now you go and see. From Sina Weibo to Twitter, from Bilibili to Douyin. Everyone is scolding the Qingda Police. The people have no intention of watching the Asian Games anymore. After watching the Asian Games, I no longer have the heart to shout slogans. Then think about it, isn't this money wasted in vain? Therefore, the Qingda Public Security Bureau has caused immeasurable losses to the party and the government. So what kind of immoral things did this Qingda police officer do? Aroused public outrage across the country. Today we will tell the story of Qingda Public Security Bureau. This is what happened. Qingda has a flexible employment staff. He is a coder, a programmer. What is flexible employment? To put it bluntly, I didn't find a job after I was laid off. When he was bored, he climbed the wall and went to the internet. There is a website on the external network called GitHub website. GitHub website is relatively famous in the programmer community. The first one here is that after you write the code, it will be hosted for you. Secondly, programmers can exchange some business information with each other. The more important point. There are some computer companies and some software companies. Some tasks will be posted here. Then many programmers can claim it on this. After claiming it, you will be rewarded after you finish it. It's actually similar to something. It's a gig market for migrant workers who come to work in cities. Everyone knows that China has many big cities. There are scattered job markets for migrant workers in the surrounding area. The GitHub website is somewhat similar to this. What do you want this programmer to be called? Programmers are called code farmers, and code farmers are migrant workers who write code. They find some odd jobs here. According to some programmers, this guy is quite famous on the GitHub website. He ranks second in a certain aspect, he is very diligent, and has a very high level. Later he contacted an internet company in Turkey. This internet company kept sending him tasks. He just kept writing code. Later, the two parties also signed a labor contract. Formed a relatively close relationship between labor and servants. Ordinarily this is a good thing. Think about it. The domestic economic situation will not be very good after 19 years. Then you can't find a job as a coder. He found a job outside the internet, and can support his family. Isn't this nice? In September 2022, the local public security agency found him. The local public security bureau suspected him. Says he has an account on Twitter. This account on Twitter often posts some violent and terrorist remarks. Of course, the public security organs did not say what constituted violent and terrorist speech. But I guess it must be, Xi Jinping is a dictator. The Communist Party suppresses students, and Zhong Gaoli plays with women. These remarks must all be classified as violent and terrorist remarks. Just follow the clues and prepare to find this person. If you find him, you'll be suspicious of him. This person will explain to the police. He said he was just a programmer. The purpose of chopping over the firewall and accessing the internet is actually to earn money to support your family. He just liked the Turkish internet company's account, that's all. He showed his mobile phone and computer to the police. Also includes several hard drives. The local police officers seized all these things from him. A month later, the public security organs also found out. This guy really hasn't posted anything online. Things that hurt the feelings of party and state leaders. I gave him back all his mobile phone and computer hard drives. This guy just thought this matter was over. Unexpectedly, things have changed dramatically since April this year. The public security organs kept asking him to go to the police station to make notes. The content of the question is, how is your company registered in Turkey? What is the information for? Then what kind of business do you do? How did you climb over the wall, and how did you cooperate with them after chopping over the wall? He kept everything in detail, and took the trouble to ask him how he did his work. Asked until July. When the public security organs are in August, that is August 12th. Went to the local bank. In the name of, suspected of violent terrorism. I retrieved all the bank statements of this buddy. I also found out how much money this company paid him in total. After the investigation, he was immediately given an administrative penalty. This is what this administrative penalty says. Just say, although he has not engaged in violent terrorist activities. But the act of climbing over the wall is illegal and must be dealt with. According to a policy promulgated by our country in 1996. What is the interim measures for the administration of the international internet? Fine, up to 15,000 yuan. The police were quite merciful and fined him 200 yuan. But that law stipulates, if there are illegal gains, they can be confiscated. So I gave him the 1,058,000 yuan he had earned so hard over the past few years. All confiscated. This guy was dumbfounded when he saw this result. You think, it means that he has been working for the local police station since 2019. So he started to file for administrative reconsideration. Report it to the local government if you are dissatisfied. After reconsideration, the local government believed that the public security organs were right. This is your illegal income, that is, all of it should be confiscated. This guy is going to file an administrative lawsuit later. On September 24th this year. He posted his experience on Weibo. As a result, one stone stirred up 1,000 waves. Everyone from home to abroad is paying attention to such a thing. Overseas media have also begun to report on. Because this incident scared a lot of people. Why? Because although China says it cannot climb over the wall casually. However, it is conservatively estimated that tens of millions of people in China have climbed the wall. So not all those who climb over the wall are interested in politics. There are many people who may need it for their work. For example, all companies that engage in foreign trade. Those foreign trade companies. They have to apply to the local telecommunications departments. Those so-called formal telecommunications channels. They won't give it to him. So they have no choice but to buy a VPN to get over the firewall. If this approach of the Qingda Public Security Bureau is extended, all foreign trade companies' business income must be confiscated. Then do you think about not scaring people? This is the first point. The second point is that it does not comply with the principle of proportion. If you even climb over the wall, Climbing the wall will fine you 200 yuan and everyone will accept it. You confiscated all my income in the past 3 years. Then this is too cruel. According to the regulations of our country, this confiscation actually needs to take into account the living conditions of the person being fined. You also leave some living expenses for others. If you have children, you have to leave enough child support. You haven't considered it at all now. All 1,058,000 was fined away, without even a scrap left. Then this was done too extremely, too cruelly. To be honest, when bandits steal money, in the end, people often end up leaving some money. You feel like you want to kill everyone. The people suddenly felt that this matter was intolerable. So everyone is criticizing the Qingda Public Security Bureau online. Hu Shijin couldn't bear it anymore. They started saying, "Our country is building this network and building this wall. I am very supportive. We must ensure China's political and ideological security. But China cannot completely close itself off. We still have to deal with foreign countries. If everything we deal with is deemed to be illegal gains, that's probably not possible." After Hu Shijin finished speaking, he deleted it himself. I think Hu Shijin's performance recently, he is indeed pushing against the wall. I think the little pinks in the country should pay special attention to Hu Shijin. Hu Shijin has now become a symbol of hostile forces abroad. What he is doing now is no longer holding the plate in his mouth. He just goes against our public security organs. Therefore, people like Hu Shijin who climb over the wall should logically be arrested. Next, let me talk about my views on this matter. First thing first. I think this approach of the Qingda City Public Security Bureau must be a fool's errand. In 1996, China formulated an interim measures for the administration of the international internet. Although it is stipulated, if you have any illegal income during the course of business, confiscate it. But what is illegal income? It's not like the public security organs can deem illegal gains, just because you want to say yes. The law actually has provisions on illegal gains. How is it stipulated? That is, there must be a causal relationship between your illegal behavior and illegal gains. What do you mean? Let me give you an example. For example, everyone knows that Fang Zhou's hometown is in Yunxiao, Fujian. That is a very famous fake cigarette production base in China. It seems like every household in this place is producing fake cigarettes. The income obtained from the production of counterfeit cigarettes can be regarded as illegal income. Why? Because there is a causal relationship between your production of counterfeit cigarettes and your income. For example, you organized another group to sell Y. You organize women to sell Y for prostitution. The money gained in this process can also be called illegal gains. Because there is a causal relationship between your illegal behavior and illegal gains. But during the course of this case, is there a causal relationship between this programmer's illegal behavior and his income? No, think about what he did that violated Chinese law. It's climbing over the wall. But will chopping the wall itself gain economic benefits? No, you have to spend money if you climb over a wall. You have to spend hundreds of dollars to buy a VPN. If you don't move after climbing over the wall, the company will give you money. It's impossible. In the final analysis, his income. He earned it by writing code line by line. His income is caused by his behavior of writing code. It is not caused by the behavior of climbing over the wall. The behavior of climbing over the wall is true. He just played a very insignificant role in this work process. And he also told the police. He said that the GitHub website can actually be accessed without chopping over the firewall. Why did he want to climb over the wall? It's just because it's not very smooth when you don't climb over the wall. Sometimes he would be disconnected, so he climbed the wall. So the website itself is not illegal. Even according to Chinese law, it is not illegal. In this case, you determine that this behavior is illegal gains. Obviously incorrect, there is no causal relationship. This is like someone telling an example online. Say, if a person is doing takeout, he buys an electric car. This electric car was modified by him privately and does not meet national standards. He had been working hard for 3 to 5 years selling food, but was caught by the Public Security Agency. The Public Security Agency said, "Look, your car violates national standards. So take the income you earned from all takeaways in the past 5 years. All of them will be confiscated as illegal gains." Do you think it's reasonable? It's obviously not reasonable. Because the money that the delivery employee earns comes from everything he has come and gone. It is created through grabbing orders and putting them together one by one. The so-called substandard electric cars are only in the process of creating wealth. Played a very insignificant role. So your identification of him as illegal income is obviously wrong. This is the first point. The second point. There is no upper limit on administrative penalties in our country. Some time ago, Alibaba was fined 18 billion yuan. But speak your mind. Ali's punishment that time was actually a bit standard. It is punished according to 4% of Alibaba's operating revenue. But this time, the punishment imposed by the Qingda Public Security Bureau. All the 1,058,000 yuan they have is fined and taken away. It's really hard to eat up everything. This is too cruel. So, actually, through this punishment you will know. The public security organs only rely on their own understanding of the law. It is possible to deprive citizens of their property rights in such a large way. Logically speaking, if you determine that his illegal gains are huge, you can definitely file a criminal prosecution. After you file a lawsuit, let the court decide. But the public security organ did not prosecute. It is through an administrative penalty. Just give this person more than 1 million yuan. All the income of the past 3 or 4 years has been deprived of me. Logically speaking, this property right should be adjudicated by the court. Another point is that the public security organs must have procedural issues here. According to the laws and regulations of our country, if you want to forfeit the party, you must tell the person. If the amount is relatively large, he has the right to request the public security organ to hold a hearing. And this hearing cannot be conducted by investigators in this case. And you must inform the parties of this right in advance. This duty to inform is a responsibility that the law entrusts the public security organs to bear. But let's look at this case now. During this process, the parties did not request the public security organs to hold a hearing. I can actually make a bold guess. The public security organ did not tell him, "You can hold a hearing." So I said that when the public security organs handle the case, there must be a huge loophole. But the bigger loophole lies in China's legal regulations. The power of the public security organs is really too great. A minor offense can be held by its own standards. If it is determined that you are illegal gains, all of them will be confiscated. If we follow this standard. To be honest, if Tencent one day accesses the internet, it can confiscate the entire Tencent hundreds of billions. There is no need for a public-private partnership. All confiscated, all illegal gains. If you think about it, that's okay. Therefore, according to the original legal provision. In fact, when you encounter a situation where the amount is particularly huge, The government should resolve the issue through litigation, instead of directly imposing punishment through the public security organs. Because the core of the public security punishment law, only minor violations of the law are punished by citizens. But think about it, a minor violation. You can deprive him of more than 1 million yuan in income. That is completely inconsistent with the principle of proportion. This is the second point. The third point, to be honest, anyone who understands this case can actually see it. Why did the public security organs find him again in April this year? In fact, it's just to make money. I just want to accuse him of illegal gains by fabricating a crime. Give him all his money and fine him. Why do I say this? You can take a look. I found him in September 2022 and quickly investigated him. He actually has nothing to do with the terrorist incident. I returned all his equipment in October. It shows that the public security organs have determined that he actually has nothing to do with the violent terrorist incident. Logically speaking, this matter is over. But I found him again half a year later. I started asking him in detail how to cooperate with this company. This is why, if it were then determined, his other bank statements are related to that violent terrorist act, it should have investigated at that time. Why didn't it investigate at that time? Why do we investigate again half a year later? It was obvious that the public security organs were eyeing his money. I thought he might have earned a lot of money, so I messed up my head. Here I want to provide you with a background. According to the laws and regulations of our country, whether it is a fine or confiscated money from the public security organ, according to the law, the full amount must be turned over to the state treasury. In order to prevent the money from fines from the public security organs being put into your own small treasury, you handle the case for financial gain. But there's a very big one here. Loopholes. It is this that is handed over to the national treasury, without specifying which level of treasury it is. In fact, what is handed over are local finances, instead of the central finances. There is often a tacit understanding between local finance and public security agencies. You first hand over this money to the local finance department. Then the local finance department confiscates a certain amount of money, or fines, based on the amount obtained from handling the case. I'll give it back to you. This is very common across the country. So you can see, the public security organs are particularly enthusiastic when handling economic cases. But they are very inactive in handling criminal cases. Why? Because there is no money to be made in handling criminal cases. There is a lot of money to be made in handling economic cases. So you can see, the public security organs actually handle cases when they are motivated by profit. To be honest, many people say that the Qingda Public Security Bureau is robbing money at this time. Who does he steal money for? He is motivated to rob him for himself. If he was robbing for the country, would these people have such a high consciousness? So some people suggested a few years ago, all fines and confiscations in our country are not only handed over to the national treasury. It must also be stipulated that it should be handed over to the central finance. In this way, these public security agencies will have no incentive to steal money for state agencies. So tired, right? After robbing the money, you still won't return it to yourself. How could they have such an ideological consciousness? However, such a system design has not been promoted for a long time. This has led to the current ridiculous behavior of the Qingda City Public Security Bureau. Of course, there is another background. Perhaps after the epidemic, the financial situation in various places has seriously deteriorated. So the public security organs began to target these business people. Or maybe this ordinary citizen has a crooked mind. Because he has enough power in his hands. If it is determined that you have obtained illegal income, all your money will be taken away. And why does the local government support the public security organs? Because after collecting the money, they can share the stolen goods with the public security organs. This is the social reality in China today. So finally, I want to say one more thing. Many people online say they should flee from Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou. Why does everyone have to go to Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou? This is because Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou have a higher bottom line in terms of the rule of law in China. Public security organs, including government departments, are not too high-minded to act recklessly. But if you want to go to a third or fourth tier city like Chengde, basically, there is not much difference between police and bandits. As long as the financial pressure reaches a certain level, the government can suddenly turn into a bandit. Bandits can also wear police uniforms and rob people directly. Say something from your heart. This case is actually the result of Chengde's public security organs' money-grabbing gestures, which were too ugly, too naked. They are more outrageous than ordinary bandits. Because after the bandits steal the money, they will also give the people some money as payment. But they have such a way of dividing the light and eating it up. Finally angered the people across the country. This matter has not yet been resolved. But I guess it will be difficult for them to end this matter. Let's continue to look at the subsequent results. Okay, I'll stop here today, thank you all. Let's say a few more words during the encore. What I talked about earlier were all from the Chengde Public Security Bureau, right? Finally, I want to say a few words for them. Although the Chengde Public Security Bureau did a bit of a trick in handling the case. But after the incident broke out, especially after public opinion was exposed, his attitude was pretty good, and he didn't fight back. You must know that a few years ago, when the police law was just promulgated, the Chengde Public Security Bureau published an article. Say, when you see the police enforcing the law on the street in the future, don't ever talk about police killing and beating people again. Because according to the new police law, can now be killed without firing a warning shot. You see, if the police want to fire a warning shot, if you shout randomly, it might be the last thing you see in this world. Just saying this sounds murderous. Then think about it according to my understanding. After what happened this time. So many people on the internet are criticizing Chengde police, including Hu Shijin. If they follow their past understanding of the Police Act, I think he can kill Hu Shijin directly. But they didn't kill Hu Shijin after all. Didn't we kill those people on the internet? Still very restrained. After all, why this news happened? It's because China's police have too much power. In a situation of unfettered power, it is difficult for the police's power to be transformed into the right to protect ordinary people. Because the police are armed people, they have guns and torture instruments. They have the power to coerce others. He has the power to restrict the freedom of others. He has the power to go to the bank and withdraw your cash flow. He has the power to investigate all your actions. So for a modern society, police behavior must be highly regulated. Police powers must be fully restricted. What to guarantee? The power of the police is to protect the people and combat crime, rather than targeting the masses. But if the power of the police is not restricted, it will definitely lead to such a path of handling cases for self-interest. I often say that police handling of cases should be values-oriented, rather than profit-driven. If motivated by profit, he will serve himself. If it is beneficial to him to handle economic cases, he will handle them. If there is no benefit to handling a criminal case, he will not handle it. Logically speaking, the police should handle cases in accordance with their duties and stipulations. This system must have sufficient power constraints. Cage his power. Only in this way can he exercise power. But in China, all police powers have almost no formal system to constrain them. So ultimately under financial pressure, or under some kind of external pressure in reality, the power of the police is not directed at criminals. It points to every ordinary person. This is the most important and fundamental reason why this news happened. That's all for today, thank you all.